Hi, friends. Welcome to the film room. Collin, Sherwin alongside Seth Varnadore. We're going to take a look at three games this week. Seth, do you think these games are a little bit tougher this week than some of the ones that we've gone over in the past? But we will take a look and see if we can find some numbers that we like to beat. We will start with the Florida Gators against the Texas A&M Aggies. Gators now sit as a 6.5-point favorite. Some of us got in at 5. The Gators are 8-3-1 against the spread in their last 12. The total has gone over in the 5 of the last 6, and Florida is 8-1 straight up in their last 9 on the road. The total is 57.5 right now. 80% of the bets and 86% of the action as of 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October 7th. 80% of the bets and 86% of the handle is on the over. But even more amazing, Seth, 92% of the bets and 96% of the cash bet on this game has been on the Gators already. So clearly the bettors love the Gators. I was one of them because I jumped in at 5 as soon as I saw that line. What do you see in this game, and do you think that there's still going to be value for the Gators if it gets on 7 or the other side of 7?
You can see the Florida offense is one of the best in the country, especially on yards per play. They're top 15 in the country on third downs as well. And the explosiveness numbers for both teams are a little skewed because they've only played twice. The turnover margins for both teams isn't great, and you see the talent's pretty even, but that Florida offense is probably the best unit in the game. But Texas A&M has pretty decent numbers, surprisingly, for kind of the scoring totals they put up. If you're a Florida backer, I think this would concern you a little bit. Florida's had problems at safety and linebacker this year. There's your safety. You want him to come up and fill in the run game. He's kind of on his heels and gets run over. Again, a different safety coming up, missing a tackle. They were really bad tackling against Ole Miss. It got better last week, and their yards per play went way down. It was over 7 against Ole Miss. Yards per play allowed, I think it was under 4 against South Carolina with a lot of those yards in garbage time. But stuff like this where your linebacker can't cover a back scares me a little bit because Texas A&M has a dynamic back, and they get him the ball in a bunch of different ways. They'll split him out at receiver and throw it to him. Here's again on a linebacker. And with the way Florida's inside guys have been playing, that's not really something I would really want to get into if I'm a Florida backer. No, the Texas A&M offense also likes to get the ball to the tight end. So that's another kind of interior guys, your safeties and your linebackers are going to have to play against these tight ends. They've got a pretty good one. And they'll also do some scheming here. You'll see them kind of sell a screen. This tight end slips. The other one blocks for a second and gets down the middle of the field here to tie up the game against Alabama in the second quarter. Now, Alabama just went and bludgeoned them after this, but there's that concern. You see here Florida letting throws inside, safeties and linebackers.
Ty Grantham tends to dial it up a lot. He tends to really want to send people defensively. Is one of the ways to counter this is to just send 5 and 6 after Kellen Mond basically every down he's dropping back?
I think they might. Now, Florida is top 10 in the country in sacks per game. They have 8 through 2 games for a game. So they have been able to get pressure, and that's when they've been able to get stops. But if they're not able to get pressure, so right here, this ends up looking like a good play. But here's a tight end all by himself. If the quarterback looks over there, there's a big play. What Florida's got going is they're really tough to stop on offense. Here you have Kyle Trask, who was named after Kyle Field because both his parents went to Texas A&M. Throwing to Kyle Pitts, who's really good. Here's another throw to Pitts.
You could make an argument that Kyle Pitts should be on the Heisman ballot if the vote was tomorrow. He's that good.
Here's another throw to Pitts on a cool little throwback with the back wheeling out of the backfield concept. Really interesting concept. Now RPO, they split him out wide. But it's not just him. They have a bunch of guys. So Trevon Grimes is a former high-level recruit. He's 6'3", 6'4". One thing that's interesting about Florida, if you're betting them in-game, they like to roll through a bunch of different skill guys. So the first game, they had times where Kyle Pitts wasn't on the field, and they rolled through like a whole new group of running backs, receivers, and tight ends. But the Texas A&M defense struggled against Alabama, who I think is maybe a little quicker than Florida is on the outside. But it's probably close. and they had problems covering Alabama when they were able to get a pocket and throw.
So I watched Kyle Trask last week, and he's definitely improved, and he's a good quarterback.
He's
But
a great mental processor.
Yeah, but his receivers, I mean, the catch radius on these guys is preposterous. Like
Yes.
he gets these huge targets to throw to because not only are they able to separate, but he can be off by a couple of feet and they're still going to reel it in because these guys, I mean, their ability to go out and get the ball is really elite, and I think that's why I'm really on UF this week. I think
Yeah,
they'll be a big advantage.
they go. Kadarius Toney wasn't even on there. He's the only guy that's probably under 6 feet tall that's a receiver for them, and he's that guy, that wiggle guy that can kind of get the ball in space and make stuff happen. But they're rolling out guys that are 6'4", 6'5", 6'3". Kyle Pitts is 6'6", and you have an accurate quarterback that makes good decisions. They're going to be really tough to stop. So I think that's why you see a lot of money on the over and Florida.
I'm less enamored with the over. I do like having Florida less than a touchdown. We move on to Georgia versus Tennessee. The Dogs are a 12.5-point favorite. It opened at 14.5, so it's actually seen Tennessee get a little bit of the money. Tennessee is 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 because Jeremy Pruitt has started to turn it around there. But here's the interesting number. The total has gone under in 6 of the last 7 for Tennessee, and it's gone under in 10 of the last 11 for Georgia. So these are two teams that aren't exactly lighting up the scoreboard. What do you see, and do you see a possibility here to just stick with the trend and possibly go under here?
It makes sense when you kind of look at the numbers a little bit. Neither team is, as you can see here, is great offensively in yards per play. Georgia's numbers still, I think, a little bit skewed by that terrible first half they had against Arkansas, but their defensive numbers are ridiculous. And I think that Georgia's defense is still the number one single unit I've seen this season. What worries me about Tennessee's offense is you look at this third down number. This is out of, I think, 76, 75 teams. They're 66 in the country converting under 30% of third downs. That is really bad. And they're not doing much better on defense. They're kind of right in the middle of the pack, giving up 40% of third down conversions. So this is a game that I think you're going to kind of find out if Tennessee's for real, especially up front, because that's where I think the game's going to be won or lost. Georgia did a pretty decent job against Auburn of throwing the football with Stetson Bennett, the fourth. You see him kind of evading pressure here, making a good throw on the 3rd and long when you had a free rusher. And you see they still will incorporate some of that run game, and they have a dynamic back and can still get some movement up front with their offensive line, even though they're breaking in a lot of new guys there. 3rd and 2 here, play fake. A little bit better throw here is a walk-in touchdown, but still a catchable ball. This Georgia team doesn't need a superstar quarterback. One would be great. It would have been nice to have Justin Fields still, but they don't
have Justin Fields. They're the best team in the country.
Yes. But this is really all they need to win games is just somebody steady and put the ball right here. They do a good job motioning. They got trips to this side, so 3 receivers here. Motion out to get the defense kind of – you get some rotation, and now you go one-on-one to your best player, George Pickens' backside, and there's not many guys that are going to be able to cover him one-on-one. Again, I don't need a spectacular throw. Just give him a chance. And they also were able to take some shots, too. So here's one shot over the top. He had to slow down a little bit for it, but still, if you can get these explosive plays out of your offense – with that defense, you're going to win a lot of games.
Are we going to get to look at the Georgia defense? Because, my God, that was just absolutely terrifying what they did last week.
or look at Tennessee, or we're going to go look at Georgia, which is, like I said, I think the best unit in the country, offense or defense. Tennessee's got some guys that are running the ball. They've got some athleticism on defense, and they can move the line of scrimmage a little bit. Here they're getting pressure with 4 against Missouri. I just don't know about who they played so far this year. South Carolina offense was not great. Florida kind of held them down for most of the game. And then Missouri hasn't been great either. So I'm not exactly sure where Tennessee's at on either side of the ball. It's kind of a tougher look than Georgia's played some decent competition. But they can get after their quarterback with 4 guys. I mean, look at this bend getting around the corner here. Sometimes they'll bring an extra guy. and that pocket's just collapsing almost as soon as the play starts. The center gets pushed back 10 yards just about.
Like, I don't think Bo Nix is great. I think he's okay. But, man, he just had no time. He had no shot.
No.
Just at no point did he have a chance. That what Georgia did in this game was legitimately terrifying. And
then they'll do stuff like this where it's 3rd and 10, and now I'm gonna like drop people back, or it's 3rd and 10 or 4th and 10. Now instead of rushing, I'm gonna drop people back. This guy's showing rush now. He drops out. He's gonna be your spy, and now I'm still getting pressure. You escape. I get a spy, and now I got 7 guys in coverage still. So they show you confusing looks as well. Tennessee's got some athleticism and offense. I still don't trust their quarterback yet. He ended the season well last year. He made some really good throws against Missouri. They have some athleticism on the outside. Here's a nice play-action throw. Drops it in the old bucket there. And they have – the strength of their team is supposed to be their offensive line. This is a tackle pulling and kind of a different way to run split zone with a tackle pulling instead of normally it's a tight end. But I just don't know if they have enough on offense. Georgia is so good on defense. So I think if you don't want to lay it down before the game, in game, first couple of drives, see if Tennessee's not able to run the ball, jump on Georgia quick. If Tennessee's able to kind of hang in there physically on both sides of the line of scrimmage, then you might be able to get Tennessee kind of hanging around. But that's going to be kind of the early indicator. If they can't run the football, Georgia's going to roll.
So Guarantano, quarterback for Tennessee, definitely makes some plays, but he is a little bit inconsistent at times. But you can see he's got a big arm, and you can see what they see in him, potential and talent-wise. Yeah, I like this more at for Uga at 12.5 than I would at 14.5 for sure. But I agree, this is a great in-game bet spot. Also, the way that both teams tend to huddle, not a lot of sugar huddle, not a lot of pace. Yeah. So if you can see that under 42.5 gets on the other side of 42, you may want to stay away, but. Total 42.5. It might be another spot for an under as well. Yeah. And we move to what might be the Heisman Trophy game of the week. Clemson and Miami. 14 right now is the number. Open 15.5. Some of us grabbed it at 15.5. Really happy about it. Miami is 6-3 against the spread in their last 9. Clemson is just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. Clemson does tend to play down at least once a year to an ACC opponent, but it's generally a lesser ACC opponent. It's like a North Carolina or a Syracuse. But Miami's coming in with enough hype where you would think that the Tigers would be focused. However, Miami is just really good. We've already talked about Brevin Jordan. I'm sure we'll see him here in a minute. And Derek King has just completely revitalized that team. I asked you before we got on here, is this the best defense that Trevor Lawrence has seen in the regular season yet? And you said yes, and I think so too.
I think so. And I think the biggest reason is the athleticism is so much closer than it's been in the ACC the last few years, with Clemson being a little bit down, I think, at receiver. I think they got some young guys, but just not that proven guy. And then Miami having athletes all over the back end and up front too. So I think I would agree with that assessment. This might be the best regular season defense they've seen. The numbers kind of prove that out too. You can see both teams they're really pretty similar by the numbers. The talent is kind of the big discrepancy based on the team talent composite. Miami's 17th, Clemson's 4th. But I think Clemson's got unproven talent at a couple positions. When you watch Clemson, I mean, it's kind of the same stuff that sticks out, especially on offensive. They got Trevor Lawrence, they got Travis Etienne, who's a freak. It's 3rd and 16, I'll just drop it to him. Or I'll make this throw and one of my young receivers will go up and get it. I mean, you got probably, the best quarterback in college football and probably the best running back in college football. It's probably going to be enough to win you a lot of games. But we'll see if Miami can maybe try to man up on the outside and take some of it away. But you can
you see Etienne making these plays, and he's an absolute freak of nature. Yeah. I don't think this is against UVA.
Yes.
God bless UVA, Atlantic Division champions last year, or Coastal Division, I forget. But they won a division last year. Yeah. They're very good. They play hard. They're not the athletes that you're going to see.
So that's the question right here. If that's a Miami corner or this is Miami defensive line chasing down the line, is that stop right here. If this is one of Miami's corners or linebackers making this play, is that a stop? That's kind of what you're going to see. And I'd be interested to see if Miami, they're always aggressive here against Florida State, who's we've come to all find out is just really terrible. But they stayed aggressive. I'm interested to see if that's how they play Clemson. I think Clemson's not great out at receiver. At least they're young. So if you feel that way, if you're Miami, why not play some man and be aggressive with your blitz, which I think they will do, and make Trevor Lawrence kind of maybe get up off the ground a few times. Right there, aggressive, kind of the safety in the middle of the field, just attacking the ball. They get a bounce, turnover. That's what we like to do. But Clemson's defense, their defensive coordinator, Venables, is like a pressure master. And they'll bring it from all different places against Virginia. But Miami's offensive line, I'll be interested to see how they hold up. They're much improved from last year, but they were really bad last season. So how will they hold up against probably the best defensive line they've seen all year too? Here you're moving around a bunch, show a different picture than you showed, bait the quarterback into a pick. And this is just moving up front, getting pressure with four guys. They have a lot of talent up front. So that's going to kind of be what I'll be watching for early. How's Miami hold up in pass protection? Because they got a quarterback that can make some tight window throws. Right here's Brevin Jordan. You'll see from this back view, this is not a huge window. You got to have some touch on it over that linebacker. And he made a couple in this game where he's throwing into really tight windows, making accurate throws. They start going with tempo. They start widening you out with these bubble screens that they'll throw if you don't cover them up. And then they got a good running back that can get downhill on you in a hurry. And then they'll use that to set up play action shots to some of their athletes too. They had a couple guys kind of emerge at receiver. Number 8, I believe his name is Wiggins there, had a really good game against Florida State. But before that, their receivers had kind of been, lost in the shuffle a little bit with the backs being so involved and Brevin Jordan and I think Will Mallory's other tight end who's a really good player. So the receivers, I think they're going to need to step up and play well. And I think that's kind of maybe whose receivers play the best, which team's able to have an impact from somebody out wide. That might go a long way in determining this game.
So Venables versus King. Venables known for exotic blitzes, cats, bringing guys, loops, switches, whatever it needs to do. Do you spy King here, or do you just play him straight up like you would any other quarterback? What do you think he does?
Yeah, that'll be interesting because they haven't played. That when this game kind of reminds me of a little bit is when Louisville came in with Lamar Jackson. Clemson ended up winning a close game, but Lamar Jackson had an unbelievable game and had them driving down the field. I think they just missed like a fourth down by a yard to kind of keep the game going.
Right? He could have extended the ball and gotten the first down. Yeah.
So that's what this game reminds me of. And I don't know if they spied him in that game, but maybe they'll kind of spy King. But King, I think, is maybe at this point of his career, he's a very polished passer too. So if you do want to spy him and let him just sit back there and throw, I think he can beat you and put the ball in some tight windows. But he can hurt you with his feet, obviously.
Total is 63. That seems maybe a little high for these defenses. I don't know, possibly. But these offenses are so elite, and it's really hard to bet against Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, who are two of maybe the 3 best players in college football. These teams will also adjust on the fly as well. So, if you see a couple of punts early, don't be thinking that this is snap under. These defenses have figured it out because they are going to be able to adjust too. What do you like here? Right now it's 14 and over under 63.
Well, I would think if I had to lean somewhere, maybe the under 63 because, you said, both defenses are pretty good. And I'm really concerned on both offenses. They don't have that number one stud guy out at receiver, neither one. So that would, to me, lend the defenses to playing a little bit more aggressively, a little bit more man. So maybe they start to take away your run a little bit. And then if they take away your run game on both sides, then where do you go if you don't have that stud receiver? Miami's got great tight ends. Clemson's got some young, talented receivers, but where do you go if the other team can take away your run game? So I think under may be a play just because there may be some of that early. And then once they figure it out, they may start rolling.
All right, sir. Well, I think that was helpful for everybody. Enjoy the games this weekend. I would say that this video film room has been pretty good if you've been watching it every week, because we have been cranking out a lot more winners than losers. That's for sure. So we will hopefully be able to keep that going this week. But thanks for checking us out, and good luck both at the wagering window and for the teams that you are rooting for, irrespective of your financial status. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week.